Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion, and today is Friday Day. Happy Friday to all of you who happen to be around. It seems like a really quiet day on Twitch, at least for the people that I follow. Not too many people are streaming. I go over here, I click on this button, I push. This is what I do at the beginning of my stream. I get caught up. Actually, I get left behind. I have so many things to do. So many things to do. Merge. Times 3. Hi, welcome. I hope you're doing well today on this wonderful Friday. I am getting everything open and on screen so that we can get this community day kicked off, because on our streams, on our stream, Fridays are community days in which I invite you, members of our community, all of you lovely, amazing, fantastical, wonderful people, to hop into a voice channel on Discord and have a vocal conversation with me if you so feel like it. I am going to check my audio settings, make sure that that is set to output. So as part of my stream, I do post my VODs, or not part of the stream, I guess. Something that I do is post the VODs to Discord and to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. And so if you are not comfortable with your voice coming through on the stream and being recorded for now until the end of time, or at least until the end of YouTube's, then I would recommend not. Maybe just joining us via chat. Okay, and we do have someone that is sitting in the voice channel. Are you ready to be pulled into the stream room? I'm ready. Oops, I'm trying to move the channel, not the person. Hello, and hello.
Hello and hello.
Yay.
I'm cutting out one of the hellos. You only get 2 hellos from me and not a single more. I don't know. You can workshop.
How are you doing today, Peter? What's going on this week?
All is well. We are struggling with HTTP headers, and don't worry. If anyone knows how to do forward headers through Linkerd and the behavior changed across upgrades.
I'm sorry, did you say Linkerd?
Oh man, did I ever. Service mesh for Kubernetes.
All these terms, man. So many technical terms. I have no idea.
Kubernetes is a world of nouns. It's like JavaScript. Because, I legitimately, I joke with someone, like, I don't even pay attention to whether or not they're fully server-side or fully client-side anymore, because it's a little fuzzy now on the newest frameworks, and I'm just, whatever, I'm done. I don't need SEO. I don't need fast page loads. I just, I still, by the way, don't know how Blazor works. Don't tell me. I don't want to know either.
I won't. I'll probably get it wrong anyway and make a lot of people mad.
But like it gives you some like, hey, Blazor isn't going to change its programming model. But of course, neither is React. And React is 10 years old, but like, you know what? I should take that back. React has changed its dominant programming model at least. It's been like 3 iterations at this point, at least, depending on what they're doing. Anyway, so I complain about JavaScript. I feel better now. Awesome. You like to complain about JavaScript?
I feel better too. I have been working today with my my laptop screen on 1280 by 720, the lowest resolution that our app supports.
Oh, man.
And the thing that I needed to ask them that I still am hesitating to ask them is, oh, actually we can't. I was going to say, do they also want to support scaling at that resolution? But I don't think Windows supports scaling at that resolution, so it doesn't matter.
720 pixels, like, I'm trying to think, y'all are a laptop, you're working for a laptop manufacturer. I'm trying to think where that could possibly happen, like, very low end laptops, the $400 one, sure. Even then, not 1366 by whatever, 768.
Yeah.
That's close. I don't know. it's a different form factor too. Anyway,
Yeah, it's hard because like we have all-in-one machines also. So I don't know.
you
Typically
can just
those. Go ahead.
you can pray that all the Windows ARM laptops die. There you go. That's all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We are still supporting some laptops from 10 years ago, even. As long as they're on an supported OS and meet the minimum hardware requirements.
Boy. What's up, Pure Dukasoft? I'm just gonna call you Pure
Pure.
Dukasoft, and we'll all know what we mean. Pure Dukasoft is pure.
Guys. Purely evil. Wait. I'm trying to do a thing. What am I trying to do? I have no idea what I'm trying to do.
I have
I'm
two
absolutely
subjects.
lost. Oh, yes?
By the way, I am eating, so you're gonna have to do all of the talking.
Okay, I'll do my best.
But I have two topics which anyone is welcome to join in chat or otherwise. I think it's just us here right now. And Pure Dukasoft, it's us three, and 5 silent people. So two things. Number one, Mojo's talking about doing a new project, and it seems like he's chosen pretty important things to start with, for me, I agree with his one thing that he's done, which is trying to get an automated build and deploy working. And I think that's key, especially during development, right? Like,
Yeah.
So that's important. But what else, if you were to start a new project, what do you think is important? I'm curious as to your answers. And
That's funny because I just started a new project.
Oh.
I am making it's just a website. So not a full web application or anything, just a website. But anyway, it is going to be hosted on AWS, Elastic Beanstalk. So finding out if you're going to deploy it somewhere, where are you going to deploy it to? What is your hosting model? So making those determinations before even deciding how to get an automated process to deploy your project. Like the build pipeline would definitely be, it doesn't matter if it comes before or after that, but where am I going to deploy this thing? Am I just going to be running it locally as a daemon? Sure.
He's a little fuzzy on how he's going to deploy his.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I haven't actually read last post. Anyway.
Me either. I've been so busy.
I agree. He said he's not going to do .NET 8. I agree. It's too early. It's so easy. Like, if you're not in production yet, like, upgrade. Okay, so here's a new topic. We'll get back to that, by the way.
Okay.
.NET 8, it should be easy. Like, what are the downsides of going from .NET 6 to .NET 8? Like, you change a property in your project, and then you make sure everyone has the new SDK installed. What does it even matter? You tell me.
So again, depending on where you are hosting your app, then like you said, making sure the SDK is installed, but that also means like if you're on IIS, for example, making sure the hosted server SDK is installed for .NET 8, and making sure that .NET 8 preview doesn't break any of your other apps that are not yet .NET 8 on the same server.
Okay, you said preview, which does tell me, I would assume I would not even bother because I just don't care. Like, we don't use anything that's invented in the last 5 years, probably. Honest truth. Like, if we do, it's like all the AI stuff, which is not part of our project. It's all API calls. So,
yeah. I say preview because it's obviously in preview until
it's
November.
Currently in preview.
Yeah.
Like running, because like .NET 6 apparently got a new threading model, which should terrify all of us.
Oh.
.NET 6.
But I like it.
Anyway.
No, I think you're right. It was .NET 6.
And then but if you're not in production yet, who cares? Because you don't know if the old threading model worked well. It's more like once you're in production and under load, like real load,
right.
then you might be in problems. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Like .NET 8, I would happily, with our giant project, I would happily just flip the switch and make sure we watch that deployment like we do all of them, honestly, because we're constantly making scary changes.
Yeah, the other consideration is all of the other dependencies too.
Oh,
or I
yeah, are there
guess
actually, you can educate me, are there .NET like compatibility problems upgrading frameworks? And when I say frameworks, I mean runtimes. I'm trying to be specific.
right. So like the only one that I've noticed is what is this thing called? So the ASP.NET Core Components. Oh, you know what? I am not. If you're going to be trying to watch on Twitch, I am not streaming to Discord chat.
It's okay.
Fixed.
That'll be good for someone else. The inevitable third person who joins the call. See, I'm not harassing chat anymore. Just hinting it is possible to get a third person on this channel.
It is. Maybe even 4 total people like we had 2 weeks ago. So yeah, the ASP.NET Core component stuff, all of the Blazor references, I don't know, do you guys break? So let's say that I had you on 6. Oh, this is really not going to work because then it has dependencies on a .NET 7 project.
See, packet, is that a package reference you're editing? That should be fine no matter what it was. And that's where like I get a little confused and it gets a little fuzzy, like which DLLs, and I'm just going to use the word DLLs, which DLLs have references to either the runtime or the like the operating system. And I don't like it. Yeah, I would assume 0, and then like weird things like we have a weird system drawing hack. Don't ask why we're using system drawing, just don't ask.
For charts, obviously.
Reason. Yeah, we have a great, I'm sure that was it. Like that had a thing we had to do to make it work on containers in Linux, and like I'm sure all the SSL, like everything that was dealing with the event Windows certificate store, I'm about to learn that because I'm about to add HTTPS to something, and so I'm gonna have to learn how to do that anyway. But lots of things have OS dependencies. Like everyone's vulnerable when libSSL, which is the Linux SSL library. Whenever that's vulnerable, whenever that pings with vulnerability, I have to update like everything, or make sure it gets updated, I should say. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess the real answer is I honestly don't know. Like maybe just targeting the new framework is fine as long as you do it in all of the things that are also dependent on the projects that you are changing. So like if I wanted to go to .NET 8 and then whatever the preview thing is that you put up there, then I would need to make sure that I do it on that project and this one and this one, just all of them.
Yeah. How do I say this? Like I would do a VS Code, load up everything in VS Code, and do a global find and replace. That's what I'd do. .NET 7 becomes .NET 8.
Could.
See what happens.
Still could. Absolutely.
All right. So that was interesting. That was a very good thing to point out. Where are we deploying? It's really important before we bother with any deployment automation.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because every time I've never gotten to start a project. I'm trying to think. When was the last time I started a project? I got to do one at my last job many years ago, and it was a small website, and I'm trying to think. It had lots of restrictions, and we already had a pattern, so I didn't get many choices. The only thing I made sure worked was very insistent that my tests be integration tests, and then I'm trying to think what else, and that it ran locally. I think running locally is the thing that has to be just, it's like the eternal war. That's my, if you ask me what's the one thing I think everyone needs to do, is make sure everyone, ooh, what do we got?
Wait, no, I wanted to hear what you were going to say.
No, run local.
Yeah, because I do have a statement off of that. That was the thing that I was griping about in my rant. Like, not even just for new projects, for PRs. It just makes sense.
Your rant, it's whatever. You shouldn't, anyway, that was your You just should have ignored it. That's on you. There you go. You said don't respond, and it's too late. You brought it up again. So
Well, now we're just having it as part. Sorry, I opened the window. And we're having it as part of the discussion of Community Day, so it's not the rant itself.
okay, fair
It's the
enough.
thing that I brought up now.
But yeah, running local, like this is a team culture issue, aka it's something that I disagree with everyone on, and yeah, and I've never won that battle. So if I am the one doing the primary amount of work on a project, I can generally get it where it runs most of the stuff locally, including fakes for like, let's assume you have
Right.
SAP integration
Okay.
or something dumb. Salesforce is the new one, right? So everyone says like I can't get a account to run Salesforce on every dev's machine, and that's fine, right? Like they generally have a production and a dev one, and then there's no other way to integrate. So you save your dev integration for a shared dev environment, right? Pre-production, whatever you want to call it. And then like when you need to test it locally, like what do? You can either connect to dev, but then like there's this whole data integrate. Anyway, my whole point is there's like icky little side things like that which can be picked out locally.
Right.
It takes a lot of work. No one is willing to do it. It is extremely valuable.
I mean, we have an entire project that's called Fakes.
Okay.
that we use
Okay.
for stuff
So
like that.
at some point, either the team is crippled productivity wise, or y'all do what y'all did. So good work to your team, I guess. I don't know.
Except
So
there was, oh my gosh, I don't know if I even want to bring that one up. There are just so many things that the team has done that are just very questionable. I'll say it this way. There was a dependency on fakes for production deployment to work.
well, yeah, I don't know.
It was very
We-
odd.
I've had people insist that you have like what is it called? If debug those
Right?
what are those
Preprocessor or
preprocessor. So
Precompilers.
in some places they've demanded that it only show up in debug level code, which is okay. Then sometimes I want those fakes in a dev environment, which is compiled with production code or release, I guess, release mode. So I don't know. I'm very loose, and I understand you don't want like security bypass software. Click this button for this fake environment. It's running in production. Don't want that to ship. I get it. Just it's whatever.
Well, guess what? We have that. So I built because oh my goodness. I needed a way to be able to set various flags essentially in the app while it's running so that I could test out. For example, just changing the theme. We do have a settings window that you can go into, but if I'm in the middle of something like a dialogue that has popped up and I'm redesigning it, I'm coloring it correctly, I'm doing whatever styling I need to be able to change it from light mode to dark mode to this other theme to this other skin and not have to close the dialogue, change it in settings, go back to making the dialogue pop up, which sometimes it's 4 or 5 steps into the process. So I created a debug window for that, where you push magic buttons on your keyboard, debug window pops up. It only ever adds itself to the app. There isn't even a code generated for it. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Like if you decompile the code, you wouldn't see it anywhere. So you wouldn't even know that this dialogue exists at all. But recently, it's been adapted to add more functionality. Like as we're running a test, let's change the value of the test. Let's say it was not successful. Let's say it was not a warrantable failure, something that we don't support. Let's say that it was whatever.
Yeah.
So we
Simulating
can do that.
hardware.
Yeah. In this awesome little debug window. And that's all hidden behind #if debug. But now they're like, well, we want to also be able to show this window sometimes after we build it through the pipeline.
Have a good. It's funny. All of us run into this, right? It's the same
Yeah.
exact thing I described. Like, well, I don't know what you do in that situation. Some people are willing to ship it. Some people aren't. Some people can deploy to dev with debug binaries. I don't know, man.
Right. And this is the hard one because this is another situation where it's the same dev that likes to be like, well, I want to do it this way, so this is how we're going to do it. And no discussion. So they have a PR that's pending with a whole bunch of other changes, and then this is kind of snuck in there where they added a new variable that's being defined in the CS proj. And it's like, are you sure you want to do it that way? You don't want to have like pipeline variables that you can specify turn features on and off during the pipeline build.
Are they doing MS build?
No.
Are they doing MS build?
It's still .NET build.
Well, I mean, but like when I say MS build, I mean like they're messing with the CS proj deeply, or is it just because they're like an if statement in that CS proj?
Exactly. It's an if statement. So like if defined the $ variable name that you can specify.
That's beautiful.
And then it's defined inside of there.
I have a strong hatred of MS build because I was trying to adapt. It's always me adapting someone else's attempt at something that didn't work. I found out MS build, and I'm going to say MS build in the general sense. This is the CS proj file format, which is running MS build under the hood.
Yes.
Eventually. It's .NET build runs MS build under the hood, whatever. So the whole point is I found out they have something that looks like a method call, but then the equivalent of function arguments, they can only be set once, and they can never be changed. So if you're making a method call or you want to call something 3 times with different variables, you'll find out after roughly 4 hours of troubleshooting that that's not possible. So I just wanted to let you know. It's, I'm a deep hater of MS build mostly. If I'm a deep hater of something, it's usually because I have scars.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've been burned by it, and it's like, oh man, I hate this. I hate this. Don't want to touch it.
Really hate it. It wasn't even my idea. I made it work.
Yeah. So like we have a whole bunch of this type of thing, where if something is specified during the pipeline, or you happen to be in dev, so environment dev kind of thing. But we also have the post-build, pre-build and post-build stuff, and a lot of them that do PowerShell commands for renaming files.
And it's renaming files, or also for what's it called? Signing those.
Signing definitely, but we're also like we have the main executable for the app. We're renaming it and moving it after the build. I'm not sure why, but we are.
That's also, I hate that kind of stuff, but as long as they got it working and they are willing to fix it, like I will never touch it. We had a
yeah, I'm definitely not touching it.
It was actually kind of genius. In our web project, we had a separate JavaScript build, right? Because of course it's JavaScript. You got to have a very heavy JavaScript build. So in our web project, we had a post-build test that ran Node or whatever, Gulp or whatever it was. It ran the JavaScript build as a post-build task. So it was the first time I'd seen it. I was like, this is genius. And then it took like 10 minutes every time we compiled. And I was like, all right, we're going to do something even worse. I've added an environment variable that you can bypass it. So
nice.
Like it does like some heinous bash script, command script. It was pretty heinous.
Say that. I could do that in my local. Like I could have a build props that only exist on my machine. Yeah. Because like right now, what'll happen is I'll make a change in, I think I told you, but we have 2 separate repositories. One of them has all of our backend stuff. One of them has our UI and main app. So the backend stuff includes the Blazor component library that could be used in other projects, not just ours. So I'm making a change to that, but that means that and then we stuffed all of the CS projes into the main repos solution. So now we have 2 Git repos in the same solution with, I don't know, how many total are you now? It's pretty much, we went from starting to separate and decouple to monolith, which I know a lot of people are okay with. 79 projects.
Okay.
That's fun. But anyway, so my Blazor component library is 1 of 79, or 3 of 79, I guess. And so I'll make a change to one of those. I only want to rebuild that one and then have those changes apply to the main app so that I could see the actual changes. But I have to do a rebuild all for whatever reason. I haven't figured out why. And that takes about 5 minutes to build, which is annoying because it's like, I'll make this change in my shared packages. I don't see it applying through hot reload. I don't see it applying through a regular build. I don't see it applying when I rebuild only the component library. So I rebuild everything and then it shows up. Make another change.
I'm excited about the fact that someone might use my opt-out variable. Give me a second, I'm gonna...
Did you say mopped out?
Opt-out. Opt-out.
Opt-out.
I might have said mopped out, you know?
I have opt-out functionality. I'll use it.
Let me read it, see if I have our company name or anything in there. Okay, there's my opt-out instructions. And then I will find the MS build scariness. And again, MS build is a whatever, the source of the CS project file.
I am also verifying that you don't have company name before showing it on screen. Cool. Can you pop out messages? No,
Do you
I
have,
cannot pop out messages.
well, they might have actually destroyed the post-build task. You've, let's just say, again, this is I am working in operations now. I'm working in operations now. I am not a developer, so to speak, on this project. So that thing I copied from the README is still there. It's a monument to what used to be there. But it is definitely not there anymore. So, what did I do? How did I get this? All right, I'm sorry, but we're here
Why
for the
are you
community.
apologizing?
What?
Stop it.
I will not. I will. I'm sorry. I apologize. How's that? That's right. Think about it. It's funny.
You are forgiven, if you must be. But only because you need it.
There we go.
Putting the burden on me. That was one of my favorite things. Oh, nope.
I think we destroyed the post-build task. Sorry. Anyway.
It's gone?
I will find it in Git history, but you have to carry the conversation for about...
Oh no. My conversation is always, here's what's happening in financial management. Number one is...
Right. No, but I have to focus on your answer, and I am still eating. Right, I'll promise to find the post build, because it's just a chunk of MS build or whatever magic, and it's not that scary. It's literally like post build task, and then it says run this thing, and then there's some very specific script, aka command script, to bypass the whole thing if an environment variable is set. You can probably ask ChatGPT, but I'd rather just paste the stuff that I knew worked at one point before we destroyed it. I don't think we do it anymore, but I would actually recommend it as a default for teams for a website that people don't really develop on, you know? Like if this is going to be a sparse website, if you hit build in Visual Studio, that will build the JavaScript. That's a great default experience. And then if you can opt out also, that's even better, because that means like, hey, I'm doing all .NET development today. I want to opt out of the front end build. You can. Or you say, hey, I'm doing JavaScript, or hey, I showed up, I have no idea what's happening, I can't read. And you can work fine too without hitting any hitches. Because everyone does the thing where they just like, well, I'm going to figure it out by myself. And then if it's me, it's because I didn't read the README that's in the project. That's everyone.
At least
No
you
one
have
reads the
one.
README. Yeah.
You gotta have one first.
See, the deal with the README, and I've learned this too, is well, this is I have a lot of hot takes today, but they're
Yeah,
mostly
absolutely.
informational hot takes.
They're
The
also
README
entertaining
thing,
too.
hopefully. So the README thing is like, yes, you write the README. You actually have to become like a hall monitor and just be like, I'd stand up and be like, hey, I updated the README. Can I get someone to go over it with me? And then the first person that goes over it with you tries to follow the instructions. Inevitably, the README, whatever you wrote is messed up.
Right.
Like when someone actually tries to, or you're in a .NET project, you're on Windows, they're on Mac. Congratulations, it will never work. Or they're a Mac user and they don't know where files are located. So that's a slam on Mac users, by the way. That's hater talk. But I'm just saying, like, y'all have this air of superiority, and then you don't know what files are. That's on you. Some of you. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Just whoop, little spicy. But yeah, you gotta like go over it, and then like after you're pretty sure it's good, still no one's gonna read it, and that's because they don't need to. Like you actually have to make sure they read it.
Yeah, that's. Oh no.
Like the oldest days. Who do we got? Deflux. What's up? Um, the oldest days. Joel on Software. This was a blog from 2000, roughly the year 2000. I'm not acknowledging. I heard a ding, but I'm not acknowledging it. Joel on Software's blog, he said very clearly, if you want your documentation to work, you have to refuse to answer people's questions in person. You have to tell them, go read the docs.
Right.
And then if they have questions, you can't answer them direct. Like if the docs aren't clear, you're like, I will fix the documentation. You will then go read the docs that I have updated. That was his advice from literally 20 years ago, which is pretty crazy.
And was it
Anyway,
you
heard the
that
ding.
told me the suggestion about when you get a new dev, have them set up their environment using the README and fix
Man.
anything that might be wrong? Because that was a great idea, whoever gave that to me.
I'll claim it.
What does that even look like? I just joined in, just got off of a call. What does that even like? The README has like a breakdown of all the tools that you need. Is that what you guys do, or?
So like there should be in any repo a getting started section of your README.
Okay.
For developers that need to
add getting started section. What else? Sorry.
It's just essentially how to get your dev environment up and running to start working on that.
Yeah. Usually you don't have a script, and even if like I would spend time because we had so many devs on the same project because it was a monolith, which is good. We would have a script to set it up, but they still didn't know where the script was because you pulled down this 80,000 file monolith. I'm just making up numbers. It feels like a million files when they pull it down, and they don't know you've got scripts and scripts. You've got a whole scripts folder. So anyway. Yeah. So even if you automate it, you should have a note in the README saying run build.ps1 or run build.shell.
Right. Yep. And that's how ours is, definitely. There's a few .NET tool installs that we have, but first you have to clone this other repo and build it on your local machine. It's so convoluted though, but it's probably normal. I don't know. I just wouldn't have done it that way.
Windows development is hard. I'll just leave it at that.
That is true.
I'm gonna step away just for a minute.
Oh no, I was about to step away for a minute too.
Oh man,
I need you here so that you can talk.
It's all
right. Well, I'll postpone my lunch.
Did he say lunch?
He said lunch.
Just like
Yep, I'm back.
Where are you roughly? Which hemisphere are you in? Are you Western Hemisphere? Or...
I'm in the sunny state of Ohio. I'm in the same time zone as you. In fact, I'm down in Georgia in a couple weeks.
Right. That's close. It's not, but yeah. All right.
Is it not?
It's whatever.
I could have sworn. Well, yeah, no, it's because you have that southern. Where are you? I forget. I thought you were like down Houston. The south.
I'm the
Oh,
close
okay,
part of
okay.
Texas too, so I'm maybe 12 hours from Atlanta. I don't know.
For some reason in my head, I had like you have that southern twang, and you sound just like my boss down there. So I get PTSD.
And I'm mean too.
You are the meanest person I have ever met.
I still can't get over the fact that I got set to a radio and then I immediately banned him. And you're like, actually, Deflux, please don't do that. Please stop. On the stream. Sugar.
Yeah, we had to. That was fun. That was fun. Look, everything.
Yeah.
It's the spice of life is having your mods ban and Satelix, who had just raided the channel. It is funny though.
To raid. And then he raided over and he didn't know I had mod. And then because he was like, "Oh, who is this live coding?" And I'm into the chat, and so he looks at the stream live, and I type, "I'm here too." I think something like, "Are you over there right now?" He asked me on his stream, to which I said, "I'm here in your chat." And live was like, "Who the fuck are you talking to, Deflux? What the fuck is going on?"
I do
And
that
then
every now and then. I think it was actually Irish John was getting it was a raid from Jonathan Blow. Like the Jonathan Blow was streaming to several hundred viewers, and he was like, we'll raid this guy, Irish John, why not? You know, I don't know, I'm not a giant. I happened to be there, and so I ran over and I was like, everyone act normal. That was the only comment I made. Just everyone just act natural, act normal. Anyway, he got raided and then was affected. Let's just put it that way. As one would be when they. Anyway.
Yeah, Irish John, and he's doing a game jam this week. Did y'all know about that?
Game Gam, heck yeah.
A game jam, game jam they call it, where they'll try like the rules are make a game. I don't actually know how to do Unity.
Make a game using the theme.
Yeah, is it that what it is? Y'all know about it?
Yeah, I mean, so okay.
Jams, but not this, yeah. I'm actually curious. What are the parameters of this one? I'm aware there's a time limit, and you shouldn't start with anything until 2 weeks.
And he announced the game jam. What's it called? Theme. Yeah, it was midnight for him this morning, which was yesterday at like 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, here it is. Game Jam 2. Is this it? I think this is it.
Jam.
Here it is. I'm gonna throw it into the Twitch chat. But that's submission due in 14 days, 5 hours, 51 minutes, and 50 seconds.
You guys can talk about this. I need to step away for a quick second, but I'll keep listening.
Yeah, you go ahead. So I guess this is one. Feel free to use any game engine. So you can avoid paying Unity millions of dollars if you want to. That whole Unity thing is hilarious too, right? Isn't that just hilarious?
It's a
bloody you. Do you know what happened?
I don't care. How do I say it? It doesn't affect me. I'm not even. It's not good. Let's just say for Unity.
It does affect you. It does affect you because you have to talk about it on Twitch now.
Oh, got me.
I love the title. You know, I read the news article title and it said, Unity has unified the entire gaming industry against them, whilst they go, in between them going to the fridge, to get a snack. But no, apparently the whole gaming community is now up in arms, and they're gonna sort that out. Let's see. I think that the stock jumped down precipitously, so that should be interesting.
Yeah, and I see Solosellipsis. It doesn't affect me. Like some people, it's like pushing. So, it affects your daily life, but for me, I'm unaffected. But so I don't really have a good take. From a distance, I'm gonna give my take. All right, from a distance, I will say obviously everyone has lost trust. This is me and Microsoft UI frameworks making it about me again. I just don't trust Maui. I don't, because it's like the 8th Silver Lake replacement. It doesn't affect me. Even the UI frameworks don't affect me anymore. But for the Unity developers, it's like a total loss of trust, and that's gone. Your turn.
I was about to say, in a way, it kind of the C#.net sort of approach to career is affected, because Unity was, I think, the number one outside of um, anything Microsoft or the .NET framework was doing. Unity was like the biggest one outside of it in terms of they did their own thing completely separate. So to see them struggle so much and to see them have real challenges when it comes to balancing the budget, for them is a good indicator. Something's awry there in terms of like, why can't they monetize the C# language, get a game together, make a game? If that's too much of a challenge. Well, that's really something. I did see Solipsis pointing out Godot. And Unreal, you could do C# in Unreal, and you could do C# in Godot, so that's interesting. But they all have Godot's a weird one where there really isn't anything. It's obviously the youngest kid on the block, but like if I were to Google up how to do something in Godot, there's very little documentation in terms of all the integrations to all the different things. If you go to like Azure has a service designed for games, like for multiplayer games. At least basically it's a bunch of Azure functions and other things under the hood, BTC Active Directory under the hood, but they have like unified under one service. I forget the name of it.
I don't know either.
Called Azure Game Play Fab. It's called Azure Play Fab, right? And so you go to Azure Play Fab. So, I want to add Azure Play Fab to my Godot project. The answer is they don't have documentation for that. But if you want to add it to Unity, tons of documentation, tons of examples. So it's
a very good ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so that was interesting. To me, it's very interesting to see a massive, what is essentially the largest thing outside of .NET that uses .NET and C#, unable to balance the budget. That speaks to C# as a language, right? That speaks to maybe things are built out wrong, right? Because a company like that has essentially that's the biggest software development. The most common thing you find in software development is Unity devs. I would argue, out of like gaming, I guess, that's sort of gaming. And so if they're unable to balance the budget, like maybe .NET is set up wrong, could be.
For me, I'm just so insulated from everything gaming. It doesn't make a bit of difference. All right, I'm getting some water. I'll be back. 2 minutes.
Live coding is inside his container, doing container stuff. And staying container.
Yeah, I don't have very much, I guess, input for that topic because, it's not really affecting me at all.
Yeah, the only thing that, and that's, we have Solipsis in chat, so AR stuff, has this swayed you any to say, well, I really don't want to use Unity as a platform for my AR development? I wouldn't mind using a different platform if it's available. Have you, Liner?
Yeah, that was definitely the thought that I had when I heard everyone discussing it on Irish Johns and Code Rads and Red Cabin's channel. But I was like, I've been wanting to get into AR, VR, MR in general, or XR, whatever you want to call it. And maybe now isn't a good time to try getting into it if I want to make a product that I plan on marketing or selling through some kind of store, because there seems to be confusion about what that is. Yes, ASMR, what that's going to do to the actual developers, to the companies. But honestly, yeah, it sounds like there are other people that are currently taking up the fight about it. So
yeah, because you can just imagine a game right now. They've got 3 months to litigate this, essentially, right before January, and they start getting the bill. There's games out there right now, and the count starts in January, so you get revenue and counts of games. So it might be like till February or March that some of these games get hit, but they'll get hit eventually. But no, I went to the getting started for the mixed reality development, and I'm on the choosing an engine, right? And so there is 4 choices, right? They have Unity being the number 1 choice at the very front. Then they have with C#, and then they have Unreal and C++. Then they have JavaScript, which is free, and then they have custom engine. So really, if you don't know C++, which I don't really, I've tried it, but and you don't want to use Unity, that means you have to use JavaScript, which is insane.
You don't have to. No, you can. Yeah.
That's the engines that it has. Is there a
Yeah.
fifth
Wait,
option?
what was the second thing that you said? You don't want to use
Unreal.
Unity?
So the second one, yeah. If you go in and you say, I do not want to use Unity now because of the whole
And
Unity
why would you
scandal
yeah,
situation.
that doesn't make sense though if you're just getting into learning how to do AR though. Like, why would you choose not to use Unity when you're not actually creating the app that you're going to market? You're just getting used to principles, and here's how you set up a virtual camera, here's how you track things, because it's fairly similar principles and transferable knowledge. So
I have Turn Jam is coming. Sorry, I'm stealing it. He said you have to follow the theme. This is my problem with game jams, is that they're like, well, you've already made 40 games, so you should follow our theme. Like, you think...
yeah, the whole point behind game jams though is for, like, because there's prizes, is for everyone to have an equal opportunity, I guess. And so if you have a pre-made game that you're trying to enter into a game jam, then that isn't fair. It's everyone develops a game during the term of the game jam, submits it, has it voted on, and then community decides who gets to win, kind of thing.
That is an important note. Prizes. So if you submit like a game that's off theme, it's probably because you're cheating. I'm getting it now. Or there is a risk. Let's put it that way. There's a risk of people cheating if they don't have a good theme.
So it's in fairness, I guess. It's
that makes good sense.
Even playing field as far as everyone gets the same amount of time, everyone gets the same subject, topic, theme.
No, he does an international prize. Anyway, it's all good. Yeah. As far as Unity, y'all can keep going. I just, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I agree. Agree with everyone.
I agree with everyone. Everyone is right. I honestly don't know what the point of continuing to discuss that. Like, for us, are we going to make a difference? Are we going to do a thing about it?
You know what Solus Ellipsis said in chat? I think this was back when y'all were talking about it. Yeah, but if you plan on getting into it seriously, there is a big sunk cost learning a tool. Fair enough. I think one saying that, like, he's, so far behind. There you go. I'm telling you, people, you're behind. So much to learn that, like, the principles alone, like, what's a quaternion? That's a word I learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so those things transfer, even though, like, exactly how to import a model into Unity is completely different from Godot.
Right.
Probably. Godot's 2D. Anyway.
So it's more learning. It's what you're saying. It's learning the principles of, like, let's say, object-oriented programming by learning C#, which you can transfer over to Java, versus learning a tool like Visual Studio versus Eclipse. So you learn Visual Studio, you get the gist of how IDEs work. Some of it transfers to Eclipse. Kind of works similar as an IDE. So same with Unity transferring to Unreal, which there are so many differences, I understand, but there's still something that's transferable.
Last comment. And if you know Unity isn't going to work for your business model, you'll want to stick with a tool that will work long term. And to Deflux's point, that's a good, for VR stuff, like, what can you do? You can do Unreal, Unity,
or JavaScript, apparently.
JavaScript.
Yeah, so like that's like a web browser JavaScript, so it's already limiting what it's useful for.
Well, so that was when I saw that JavaScript, I was like, well, if it's JavaScript, I can do Blazor, right?
Yes,
because that's just.
And I've been wanting to do something like put a wrapper on A-frame.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to bring up there. Was like, how can we leverage C# and JavaScript as a thing here? Is there something you're bringing up on the?
I'm saying, like, JavaScript. Like, there's JavaScript and there's JavaScript. Blazor interacts with the DOM document. The web document. Document object model. Anyway, my point is Blazor will interact with the DOM great, but all this 3D stuff, I would not bet on it.
Oh no, so here's that's what I was trying to. Yeah, good point, and I completely agree with you. You don't want to be doing like the 3D stuff in Blazor. You'd have to do it in JavaScript or some form. But my use case, and we don't want to spend time on
You
it,
do it
but
in
my use
Blazor.
case is like, can you? I think the DOM stuff would. I don't know. Well, that's a really good question. I don't know the answer, but I was about to say my use case involves getting data, organizing the data, and then displaying it, but not necessarily a ton of 3D stuff. It's displaying it in the right place. Like I'm thinking of like a 2D display in certain places. So I'd have like a square, and I'd put something,
Right.
a 2D square
Panel.
on the square. Panel. So I don't necessarily care that much about the 3D aspect of it myself.
Other
So
than that panel is positioned somewhere in 3D space.
Right. Exactly. So that was my thing, but I just haven't got my head around it, and I haven't understood Unity yet, and so that's where I wonder now this A-frame thing you're bringing up. Do you know of an example of using A-frame with HoloLens?
I mean, this is right here what you're looking at. It's just because I don't have it displaying
okay.
in a device that is VR or AR. I don't have the button that you can click to go into VR. I have my own.
So okay. So how? Okay.
Where did I put it? I have no idea where it is though. I don't even know how to get to the place where I can log in to my own A-frame sample. Because I followed a tutorial that took me here, had me put something together, and then I ran it in my HoloLens, and it worked exactly as it was supposed to. So that's why I'm like, if you put a wrapper, so I mean, we're still doing it in JavaScript under the hood because I think this is built on top of Three.js, but it's custom web elements. And then if you put a Blazor wrapper on top of those custom web elements, then you're just writing Blazor.
But then what is because that was one of the big puzzles I had. Like I was trying to do exactly that, but I was forced into using Unity. Like I was just doing like a web view. That was my app, which is like a panel, and then I never got around to like working out how to do the positioning. So you just light up in your
Which
face.
we did.
But
we did on screen.
Yeah. So I'm saying that's as far as I got. Well, you showed me exactly how to do. Click this button, go here. Click that button, hit OK. I did that bit, but I couldn't get further than that. But I guess what I'm trying to ask here is, if I wanted to use this technology, say I want to put a square, right? How do you even get that in? Oh, I guess I got to look at the docs. Look at the docs defaults.
I mean,
because
you
they
can
have
ask away. It's community day. You can ask anything you want.
Yeah, I regularly. I think this is a theme now. Like 2 in every month, community days are hijacked for the purposes of AR.
You keep saying hijack. It's a community day.
Yeah.
You would only hijack it if you were to be literally hijacked.
Oh.
Actually, literally hijacking might also fall under community day. It's whatever people want.
Because you're teaching us that you can do something like that, and check out this cool thing I can do.
Yeah. I'm prepare the scene. Yeah, because this looks nice. Like I could do this. So how am I packaging? That's my thing. Is how am I packaging? Yeah, well, the only one they have tutorials for is Babylon.js. So I just went to the documentation, and I see now they have it actually listed there. I see them as a choice. They have 4 JavaScript frameworks they recommend. And in the tutorial section, they have one for Babylon.js, which is a Hello World, which is all well and good, but it doesn't specify how I'm deploying this to the HoloLens. Let's see. That's basically my question. Like, how am I actually deploying this?
Oh, you're going to the browser page in Edge in the HoloLens. Essentially.
Oh, so that's okay. So that's no good, right?
I don't know. Is that no good for your use case?
Right, because I want like the panel to be over here and the panel in a square somewhere. So
right.
How like when you say you're going to the page.
Oh, and so like. Think of it more like Itch. You know how Itch works, where you go to Itch, someone's specific game or whatever on Itch, and then you click play the game, put in full screen. When it's in full screen, it's the game.
Oh, I see.
Itself.
So, gotcha. So when you open up the game, boof, it starts operating, and so therein I can do the thing. I wonder if it's even possible. I'm not sure that it is to do the whole. I imagine it is. I imagine it is, right? You should be able to do like the whole geo business and say
Oh, I
over
don't know.
here.
I honestly
You
don't
don't
know
know?
about that part. I'm gonna assume that because you're in a browser, you have access to the JavaScript API for getting geolocation. So however accurate that is. But anything else as far as like when you get the actual coordinates of the device, maybe somehow, then you are also going to send that up through an API to get to your spatial anchors, for example, resource in Azure.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd really have to look because essentially you're right. I'm going through the browser, so I basically have to believe that all the stuff that I need is going to be going through the browser. I'd almost have to do like a console application maybe that runs on the
But that's
device
the thing,
itself.
it's a oh, okay. So like something more like a daemon that's running on the device that's feeding through maybe
like saying
localhost
this
support
ID
something.
is yeah, and there'd be certainly that might be really ugly though if there's like a delay. Interesting
I don't know
stuff.
where this is.
I'm surprised they don't have. I mean, I guess we were making an assumption here too, though, that we have to go through the browser. I'm what is it? Windows RT OpenXR. This OpenXR game. What's this thing? Can I do OpenXR without Unity? Can I just do like a native OpenXR application?
Maybe. So Solo is saying there's some other small engines that can build web native content for AR. For example, Ethereal Engine.
See, and this is a really good discussion because I just want like the easiest way. Like imagine, and I'm you two between Solpsith and 119 there. You guys are the only people I know on planet Earth that I've ever spoken to about this technology. But in my use case, obviously being like I want to put panels on the side of machines. Basically, you have a big, huge machine. I want to know the temperature inside the machine, so I'm going to blast it on the side of the machine. Because we have the data and it's being sent in real time, we just want to be able to display it. So and when I went into Unity and I started trying to learn it, I was like, this is massively complex, let alone all the like the compatibility, the deployments. I'm like, just for what my use case should be relatively simple. I have data, I can get it to a device, and I just want to display the data in a box somewhere. Let's see, AR geospatial maps. Interesting.
But yeah,
So maybe
according to Solo, he says you can write OpenXR native code too, but then you're getting into the guts of stuff, so definitely not easy. Kind of sounds like writing OpenGL instead of using something like Blender to model.
Gotcha. So build on the wall framework. So this ethereal guy I'm going to check out. So yeah, that's my I think for deployment, I would have to be like an actual certifiable like app, MSIX, MSI, whatever, right? I don't think going through the browser will be good because then every piece of data, unless you have like a daemon that's working really well, every piece of data, like where you're looking and all this kind of stuff, and all the geolocation stuff, has to be proviso. You have to assume Edge is going to give that to you willingly and well. I don't want to assume that.
Yeah, I mean, so like this definitely shows that the web view control does work in an AR app that happens to be targeting HoloLens. And it can be positioned wherever, and then you can add stuff to it, to the web view control, like the solvers, so that you can have it stick to walls or to the side of vertical, horizontal surfaces. You have scene understanding on your camera, so you know what it actually can stick to. You could put a rigid body on it to give it some physics if you wanted to, like if you wanted to throw it somewhere and have it stick or whatever. I don't know. The thing that I'm struggling with on it is interacting with the actual web page, which I don't think you can do. So like being able to tap somewhere on the page and have that come back as you're interacting with the content, or scroll by pinch drag. And that's where we left off
Yeah.
on the stream where we were playing around with
In,
this.
in HoloLens, aren't you encouraged to use the voice stuff as opposed to actually, like, the whole point of HoloLens is so you keep your hands free. So if you're still using your hand to interact, it's kind of like defeating the purpose a little bit, right?
I don't know if you're encouraged to or not, but I know that it is an option that you have available to you. Like, I don't know why they would not encourage you to use all of the resources available to you.
Well,
hand gestures,
I guess,
and voice, and eye gaze.
you're right. I'm thinking more of the point of, like, when you have to go to a company and you have to, like, justify, here's the reason why we don't need to buy everyone $100 tablets, instead buy $3,500 HoloLenses, is because, and they're going to say, well, if it frees up their hands, then maybe we can justify the cost. But if the solution is we're just going to, like, put everything in AR and then have you tap the buttons as if it's in your hand,
Right.
well, then you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why, as a developer, that's for you to decide how your app is going to work. And you're going to say, you want to use my app because I allow you to either interact with it with your hands or with your voice or by staring at a button for 5 seconds and then it activates, or
Eye
whatever kind
motion,
of
yeah.
mechanism you're using. Yeah. And that is a thing
I-
that I brought that up because gazing at a thing with just your eyeball and staying focused on it is one way to select in the HoloLens.
Good for accessibility.
Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Hawking probably could have used that. Maybe he did back in the day. Real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
I have looked at what we did to make that post-build step work on
Oh,
the web
yes.
project. I no longer endorse the code I have just pasted. Like, it is so brutal. There is something
Just
called,
verify there's nothing weird.
I hope,
Okay, you're good.
I hope, like, it was stuff I had never seen before. By the way, I've read a DOS 5.0 book all the way through. I want to let everyone know that. People talk about having certificates and stuff. Like, that's the real certificate, DOS 5.0. So I should understand this command script. It's heinous. It's completely heinous. There's something called exit/B. What does /B mean? I
That
don't
sounds so familiar.
Let's not talk about it. But that is what you will need to do if you write a build script in command script, shell, whatever I don't want to call it shell script, fetch files. But I will also say what was worse was the MS build, because we relied on something called build depends on. I thought it was a post build action. It was actually not. It was even
I've
worse.
never used that.
I'm telling you, man, I don't endorse it. Just put whatever. You can literally take the command script and paste that into your post build, and it probably will work. It's the worst. Deflux is stepping away. I also have to step away because look, I'm eating. I've done eating. Y'all were doing great work, keeping what was it? Keeping the conversation alive. While I was just munching away, I did some damage. But anyway, that was completely heinous. I don't recommend it, but I do recommend the final result, which is that when you build our web project, by default, it will build all the JavaScript, which is a good default experience, but you should be able to disable it, which is also important.
Rip whatever he was eating.
Yeah, whatever. It's all gone. It's completely. I did some work while y'all were talking about AR, MR, whatever. XR. AR, MR, XR, VR.
Yes. Like, I'm so ready to get into this, but I don't have any time. I don't have the bandwidth mentally.
Don't worry, it'll all be gone next year when Unity collapses. I think Deflux had a really good point about their finances. It's so crazy. Like, how can they possibly lose billions of dollars? I don't know either. Like, they make a product that doesn't cost money to operate, you know? Of course, that's a lie.
Develop and
of course
maintain?
It costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah. This is where someone who actually has used Unity and has seen the changes, and they can tell us how the framework itself is doing and how much it's changing, how much stuff they have to ignore usually. It's all good. I don't honestly. I think like I did a demo once and I used monogame at the time, and it was great for drawing a square on the screen. And that was about all I needed to do is draw a square and then a bullet flying out of the square. That was great. All right, what is it, President?
We talked about that, I
Ultimately,
think.
the most important thing you're doing is saving money for when you're retired and aren't allowed to work due to age. Oh,
You
that
know what
hurts,
though?
man.
I am okay with not waiting until I am not able to enjoy the benefits of making some amount of money. I'm okay with
Look,
that.
the ageism is what makes it sting because
Oh yeah.
uh anyway, it's all good. Let's keep our skills sharp, etc. And
I happen to be in an industry that you can work in as long as you want.
I think I think there is we'll see. We're both the same age roughly. So we're gonna we'll see when we get
I'm
to
older than
white hair. I have read anecdotes. This is anecdotes on Hacker News, which is my largest collection of developers that it's the biggest forum, biggest community there is, and it's obviously not really a community, but like on Hacker News, there were multiple people who said like, yeah, I dyed my hair because I was graying, and like I got a job within a few months after, and I had been searching for 6 months, so it's something to keep in mind. I will say like, how do I say this? I'm trying to keep a limber mind and be flexible. Like, I don't know what's an example of trying to be flexible. Like,
How many subs do you need to one line for you to dye your hair ginger? How many subs can
That
we,
would
if
be
we
over
do
a
the
million,
sub
I
goal?
would say.
Over 1 million? I'm
Yeah,
on it.
I
All
don't
right.
I don't ever plan on dyeing my hair. But anyway,
but
Peter,
there
you
you
were
go,
saying?
President. No, yeah, die like I have seen an anecdote, and that take it for exactly what it's worth, which is one person claims they found a job after dyeing their hair. And I will also say certain attitudes, if you're like a grumpy older developer, like clearly, you know what I'm saying? Like there's certainly an attitude problem. Like if
Oh
someone says, "Hey, I
yes.
can hire a
Oh
junior developer for
yes.
cheaper," and they'll listen to me, or I'll hire this grumpy old man
Right.
who
Who's
has
stuck in his
who might
ways.
stuck in his ways. His, and we'll say his this time because it's negative.
Oh, stuck in their
Um,
way. Sorry.
well, I'll say his because it's negative. We can afford that. So stuck in their ways, and like, if I have a architectural argument, will I be able to win it over the junior or the grumpy old
Oh
man?
right.
And like, so that like, I'm trying not to be the person who's just a grumpy old man, like, you know. But
Who needs reliable submariners anyway for submarines? Let's get the young people in, and let's
they're
kick out the old boring white men.
they're biddable. No, it's about being biddable. I really do think ageism is
Yeah.
partly about that. It's about being
Yeah.
like, if you are willing to listen to feedback. And of course, if you're a Fox Pro developer, I'm sorry, you're too old. Is that messed up to say that? But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So I said something very reasonable, and
Yes, growth
then
mindset.
something on the point. So.
But no, I mean, it's completely true. So I'm seeing it on my team as it is, where again, we have a developer that is very strong willed and has things that they want to accomplish with the product at the expense of everything else breaking that anyone else is working on or undoing work that someone else has done. Like literally reverting code without talking to that person. Not me. It was
Yep.
it was actually our junior dev that he did it to, but that's fine. And it's like, do I want to work with this type of person that just wants to be, this is the way that we're going to do things, and let's not have a discussion because we're not really on a team. Where I want this product to be a certain thing, and I need to get my stuff done regardless of how that affects your work. Or
So
do
what
I
you're
want to work with my
effectively
junior
saying,
developer?
what in effect you're encouraging? Let's group this. I'm in my 30s now, I guess, but I was a junior developer 10 days ago. In terms of like young to the industry, right? Say, So I should be grumpy now, whilst I can still get away with it and still do it. Be grumpy now, and then when I'm, you know, looking at my retirement package, I should then not be grumpy then. So I'm gonna go forward and be grumpy now, and then.
I mean, the serious answer is no, of course not. That you'll just get cut out as a junior. But like, how do I say this? The assumption, this is where the ageism, the reality of ageism might have some truth to it, is that yes, the older developers tend to be grumpier and more set in their ways. That is where the actual, how do I say this? Finding a younger developer might actually be better than finding an older one with more experience. But I'm saying that that should be outweighed by the years of experience and, not going down. Yeah, just not. Anyway, there's a lot of things.
I will say, our most junior developer on our team, everybody uniformly deletes this dude's code every day. And that's just the way that cookie crumbles.
Okay. Wait, you mean deletes like with their knowledge, or like is it because it's broken, or just because they don't like how it's done?
Yeah, you can spot the code. Like if you look at like a file that we have, we can tell who wrote it based upon how bad it is, and so actively trying to make it so it's not too bad is what happens. It's something I actually approached my team about, and whatever. I won't discuss it here.
Yeah. Everyone's got some dysfunctions. So like I was just talking about how great our web front end build was, and they removed the thing that I liked about it. so I had to dig through like 2-year-old code to find our auto JavaScript builder stuff, which also was pretty heinous in implementation. So again, I like the word heinous. By the way, Irish John says Bob Ross emoji. So that's Bob Ross emoji to you as well.
Yeah, so for me, again, I had never worked on an actual development team before. And this one being my first experience, I'm encountering things that I'm like, is this really how it is for all teams, where there is at least one or more developers that are like, no, my way is the way that we're supposed to do things. And the other one is like, no, my way is the way. And there is no communication between people. There are just arguments that are, let me voice my opinion. No one else listens to anyone else, cooperates with anyone else, because that got really old really fast. And so now we did get a new junior developer, and I prefer working with him, not because I can win arguments with him, but because I can have discussions with him. And we talk about things like, why are you approaching it this way? Oh, that's cool. Here's my suggestion. Does this work for you? No? Do something else. Keep doing it your way. That kind of stuff.
I was being bombastic, but we all understand what I'm talking about when I say grumpy old developer or set in their ways, especially.
Right.
I think aside from grumpy wasn't even the real thing. By the way, Irish John, we were talking about the game jam. I was asking about theme. How close do you have to stay on the theme? Because here's the deal. The last game I built was Tic-Tac-Toe. And it was in 2001, I think, roughly. So, I could be creative, but like, I would prefer to lose. I don't want any prizes if I join, which I'm not promising because, look, I've got a lot of video games that need playing. But if I join,
I wish that was my excuse.
Completely on. No, it's an excuse. It's an excuse. It's valid. It's a valid excuse. If I join, I would just not want prizes and just want to submit something. So, anyway, I'm just warning. Like, don't ban me for being off theme. That's what I'm saying. I haven't even looked at that theme. Wait, what was the page? What was the theme?
The theme was peace. Parts sold separately. Dang it, now I have to find Discord. Hello, Discord. Where are you?
It was Twitch chat.
There's John.
He actually posted.
Well, yeah, I got it from the jam link in Irish John's Discord because some assembly required. I was close.
Okay. there's
And
no
so
way I
it
can do
started at midnight Irish John time this morning.
that.
And we'll go until this timer runs out. And then people will play the games, provide comments, do voting. Here's the criteria.
Okay.
Oh, voting will be done by the participants at that.
Oh, okay. I'm okay just default not winning because I would do it for fun and not for the
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would. And I want to
But
because I
no-
want the
no hints.
experience of it too.
no
Aw.
it would no hints for the rest of y'all. I've got a killer idea that will be off theme, so you can't use it for multiple reasons.
This is my excuse for why I can't join.
There we go.
That's your excuse.
Oh goodness, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
there is it is a team sport.
Goodness.
So maybe
Alright.
the stream will us as a stream will get together and we'll do.
Oh man, how would you
One
feel
more
about
minus.
that, John?
Okay,
That's a
I'm just
crazy
going
idea.
to find. By the way, the poll's still open. By the way, if you're streaming, you should never dye your hair.
Oh.
That is bowing to Twitch chat. You should never.
Hmm?
You should
What are
never
you going
do
to?
anything Twitch chat tells you to do. So I'm just saying.
I don't
to
mind
everyone,
it, but
like,
this is
it's
one of those things that I wouldn't do, ever.
Doesn't matter. Like 5,000 subs, like no,
Not
not worth
ginger.
it.
I would dip the tips of my hair in red.
Wow. What's wrong with being ginger? Hello.
just saying.
Well, have you seen yourself? Have you experienced
No,
your?
that's messed up.
Watch back one of your
That's
VODs. You'll understand.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
By the way, Solo Solipsis did have things from like 10 minutes ago. Finding good devs is hard
Oh, no.
regardless of age.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
fine.
kind of responded to that. That was my. It's not really the thing that most people think is hard about finding devs. You know, being someone that is skilled enough to pick up on your project and be able to run with it, but it's finding someone that is actually willing to work as a part of the team. That's the really hard part. Because we're
And
devs, we have opinions of how things should be done. Right?
what else are we gonna do? I have to go because it has been an hour and 17 minutes for me,
Yes, it has.
roughly.
Well, it has been a
And-
lot of fun, and Deflex will still be here anyway.
I was gonna say you can't eat lunch and talk at the same time because I can.
Well, it's been an hour
And be
and
ginger.
17. I have no more excuses. It's time to get back, get cracking. I basically can't. I can't justify it. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
I justified the first.
Same
hour
reason
and
that I have
17
to, or that I choose to end my stream at 12:30 my time, because I can't justify continuing further.
Okay, it's been super real. I do want to talk. By the way, I do want to talk randomly about testing, because I'm curious on your experience report. And I want to Sorry, I should get off I should just hang out because I told y'all I want to get off now. I'm monopolizing. I do want to hear what your take is on if the tests have helped, and I want to poison your thoughts with this whole deal. By the way, then let's get on. I want to poison your thoughts with there was a famous incident back at least 10 years ago where I think it was Ron Jeffries, one of the Agile people, said, I'm going to test drive development of a Sudoku solver. And by the way, y'all can spend the next hour. How do you pronounce that word? Sudoku. Anyway, he test drilled, one of them. He tried to solve it using test-driven development. He failed horribly, and he did it all publicly. And then Peter Norvig, director of research at Google, said, you just needed to know the right algorithm. Tests don't help in this situation. Peter Norvig put out a very small Python notebook and solved the problem, and it was very clean and elegant, and it worked perfectly. And my whole point is somewhere in the complexity range, like shoveling data around is almost never complex, right? And then like Sudoku solver, very complex. You actually need to know what you're doing. But calculator's somewhere in the middle. You just have like it's a lot of interactivity. Like you need to have like you need to have like a mental model of. I think I don't know that like how do I say this? Like, what does the equals sign do in your calculator right now when you press it 3 times in a row?
The submit.
You used to have a bug with that.
Right, and it does work because the test that you or the original structure of the test that you wrote that I adapted in order to test what happens when you push the equal sign multiple times helped me to write the logic in a way that it works the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
Hey, checkmate.
Checkmate. Well, I'm curious because here's the other thing. I should be getting off. All right, I can justify this. 10 minutes.
I know the feeling.
So my whole deal with those tests was that I was like, I very much like the tests themselves, like the part that says fact, and then that 3-liner that said here are your inputs, here are your outputs, with the exception of the variable names, which you fixed. Like, I liked the idea that it was very clear what were the inputs and what were the outputs, and then there was no other noise, especially for calculator, because it really is just inputs and outputs.
Here's something you input, here's something it should output.
Like with business data-driven apps or whatever, it's harder to get your inputs and outputs that cleanly, especially a single string representing a series of like 10 inputs. That's not easy. Usually you can't do that, but like we did in the calculator. But like that was the point I wanted to say was
that was
like
fun.
I liked that part of the code, and then there's this horrible, like, it's not horrible, but it's like less pretty implementation. I'm sure you've seen it and been like, well, that's a little iffy. Like,
let me bring it up so that we can know what you're talking about.
Also, there's a ton of people here. Hi, Thindle. What's up?
Okay, so what are you calling this list pretty thing or term that you used?
Okay, so the facts part is the part I like. That's what I want people to focus on when they look at the test, is like, here is it, known inputs, known outputs, and that's, they can understand it. Like someone coming and coming to your calculator needs to add functionality. They're like, all right, they can understand that, pretty simple. When it gets to the actual implementation, which is somewhere below, or maybe you moved it to another class, which by the way, I dumped it all in one file.
Yeah, I left it there. So test the calculator.
And that's the kind of stuff I don't care about. Like test the calculator. Honestly, I wrote the first few times and they all look like that. And then I slowly extrapolated. I mean, the test the calculator function, like if you took that arrange act assert and dumped it into your test, it'll still work. I say this carefully. You adjust the inputs and outputs, but it was less pretty. It's a little less pretty, but it still works. There's achiness, and then we get into the Blazor part. Not Blazor, I should say browser automation part, right?
Yes.
You can say Blazor.
But I'll say, because this honestly, this would look identical if it was Selenium. And in fact, I think it would be completely identical.
That's Eagle for you, trying to make it as common as he can.
Well, no, I'm not. I literally implemented the minimum. And then there's the weirdness with like selecting IDs, which I guess comes with the territory of UI development. Like you've got to somehow get translation, but it gets a little bit ickier. Like you scroll down, it looks, all that is a little icky. I don't know. This is where a lot of my stuff ends up, is tests that look beautiful if you look at the tests, then you look at the implementation, and it's like a house of horrors. Horrors, that's 2 syllables. House of horrors, like it's Halloween, horrors. Okay, I just wanted to say that, 2 syllables. 2 syllables, horrors. Very different meaning. Horrors.
As opposed to horrors. Oh. Anyway, you guys didn't hear it, but Dukasoft played the nice. Dukasoft played the apocalypse intro sound.
For Halloween, I should like make modifications to my vehicle.
Your vehicle.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna bail.
My vehicle.
Well, okay, you bail. You keep your ears on, but
I will will
Yeah, go ahead.
have the stream on, but I got to do stuff. But I will also say, if y'all are searching for topics, I do think our first topic of what is good to do on a project
Right.
is a good topic. But I
We
will
can
not be
definitely roll
here.
back to that.
Hey, we'll roll back.
We'll roll back. Well, I kind of missed. I must have missed
Yeah,
that. But
I'll tell you,
can,
but
you can f off.
yeah.
You go away.
Peace out.
Just leave. All right. So I did want to say before we got too far away from this that he was indicating that he doesn't like this bottom part, and I thought that this was pretty elegant, to be honest. The one method, since there's really only one thing that you do with the calculator, give it inputs and it gives you some kind of expected output, was pretty genius to me. And then this helper method for knowing what it's supposed to be doing from a render and getting it over and over. I didn't find this to be messy at all. I found this to be easy to read and understand, and I really liked it. And
I've got to get good at writing tests. I really got to do tests.
Too.
Maybe I should do that. Right now, I have a bunch of well, I won't. Well, yeah, I will say. So right now, I have like a bunch of like, I need to do this. We need to get this done. I have this done. I have this to do. Blah 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 blah.
Work items.
And like the lead guy on my team who's sort of managing things now, regarding like, he's like, yeah, I wouldn't do that right now. I just wait till next week. I wouldn't do that right now. So like, I've been assigned nothing to do just because I don't want to move too quickly, and then like leave it. He's like, I wouldn't do that. I was like, okay, so I guess I'm doing this. Like, no, I should just leave that. Well, I won't about that one just yet. So I went down my whole my list of things. I was like, yeah, just just it's Friday, just.
It's Friday.
I'll see you on Monday.
For me, it's like it's Friday, then that means that I need to get all of this stuff done before the end of the day so that Monday morning I can send out the new build to the stakeholders that are like, we want to see these UI changes and what they look like. And I'm like, I'm working on them. But then they're like, but also we have this new, I'll call them trouble ticket. We have this new trouble ticket that came in that we need you to take a look at. And it's like, we have another person that you communicate these trouble tickets to. They see if they can reproduce it and then create a DevOps work item. And then the project manager assigns those work items to whoever it's appropriate to. But
they don't know the process.
Yeah, they always come straight to me because I have proven that I am dependable and I get stuff done and I respond to things. And sure, let's say that that's my fault as a person who believes that that's how a developer should be. And they've established a thing where nobody on the team will respond to them or even acknowledge that they've submitted anything until the next client meeting. I just can't.
Well, you have to work. It's a double-edged sword, really, because if we ever solve this problem, right? Let's say, because this, okay, so and I don't want to. Maybe this isn't a great topic, so maybe I won't. But we'll touch it. Trucking in the 50s.
You have no problem coming up with other topics that aren't great topics. Why are you worried about
I like
it
to
now?
think this is economical discussion. It's not really code related. But
at the moment, you're talking team-wise, right?
Right. So, so trucking used to be an amazing profession in the 50s. That is, it was a bustling thing. They're building new trucks. They're building new things. Very interesting, right? And so people would join trucking like, oh, this is going to serve me out. This is going to work. The problem you had was that all the truckers were like, a little bit of like, I don't want to word, difficult because they were a very not common enough, right? There's not enough of them to go around. We have the exact same thing today in development, and particularly in .NET, is that there isn't enough developers to go around, forcing you to have to work with people that maybe haven't got the best work ethic, because that's the best they can get for the money they've got right now. So if we ever do solve this problem where we have like a plethora of really well-to-do, hard-working folk on being .NET developers, that just means we're all making the average for America, which is like what, $65,000, which again is like, maybe you don't want that. Maybe it's better to deal with the assholes than it is to make make them so plentiful that we don't have to use them. So it's something to think about.
I don't have that, Irish John. That's no fair. Irish John used a emote that no one else has.
Standard procedure.
Standard procedure, he says. But yeah, so like, I don't know. I mean, there are definitely things that I understand about the industry, and the thing that keeps getting brought up on the team is that it's a political game, and I'm like, no, not for me. I mean, if that's how you guys feel, that's how you can approach it, but I'm going to approach it as if I am working with the client to produce this product that they are paying Sagetti for us to produce. Within reason, I'm not going to break my back for it. I'm going to do things reasonably, talk to them like they are adults and humans, not hide things from them because of fear. Like the main thing that happens on our team is fear of, if we tell them that we're working on this thing, then they're like, oh, so that's going to be done by what, yesterday at 3:00? It's like, let's have a discussion about that. But we can't have a discussion according to the other team members. Instead, what's going to happen is if we brought it up, they're going to have these expectations on us and it ends there. So let's not bring it up at all. It's like, and then just not have any communication and then have shouting matches during full team meetings. And it's like, I don't want to do that. No thanks. I'm just going to be transparent, honest, use this thing called integrity, do the thing I said that I'm going to do to the best of my ability, let you know if something comes up that is blocking me from getting it done, and just be honest.
Yeah, for me, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, so and largely learning from you and others, but like anytime I have like a really good question about C#, I'm like, well, let's open up Thin Man and see how OneLine's done this.
That's terrible.
Because it's true. So thank you, by the way. But I am of the position where like I look back at the last 6 months of what I've produced as a developer, and I go, man, I am really lazy, and man, I could have made this better. And actually, 6 months ago, I had this problem, and it's still a problem today. And so I go there, I'm like, well, maybe if I was just a little bit more honest with myself about like what I should be doing, how I should be working on, and this kind of thing. And then I get into it, I'm like, well, yeah, I should do this. And well, I can't tell you how many times I've fixed like 20 issues and then not pushed it on the basis that it takes so much explaining. There's been so much pushback. It's like, fuck it. And so like something as simple as like there's like a ball in the wrong place. Like I could fix it, or I could just wait till it's really a problem, then fix it, and sort of not really a problem, but then I could find a great place for it and do it then. And very often those great places don't show up very soon. And so I have, and so I'm guilty, right? I'm guilty of the crime that you decry for your colleagues,
right.
Which is, I'll happily sort of, well, we're working on that. Well, this is that. Maybe we can't do.
No, they don't even do that though. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, I obfuscate when you said they won't be honest. I obfuscate the problem to the point where I don't have to deal with it, or I prioritize other things so I don't have to deal with this thing. That kind of obfuscation. That's what I was referring to. But the trouble I have,
my thing is like, here's this thing in my back pocket that I found out that's gonna be an issue, but I'm not gonna tell you, the client, about it because you don't need to know that this is a blocker and we are going to struggle to get the product out. You only need to know that we're going to get the product out. And then when we're not able to deliver, oh, we ran into this issue. And it's like, you ran into that issue how long ago? You could have told us, and then we could have adjusted our expectations. Stuff like that. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, and I try to be the most honest person in that regard, and I try to like do things pretty straightforward. But then the trouble I have is where I work, I see other teams doing the exact same thing to us about things that we're waiting for them on. And so it's like, well, if everyone in the company is just not being helpful and they're going out of the way not to be helpful, why should I work my ass off?
Then why shouldn't we?
They're going to pay me to
be the ones to lead the way and be helpful and lead by example. I'm a 1. Okay, remember that.
Yeah, and so I do go into like phases of like being really on top of it. Like certain development features, like I'm really excited about, and I'll get on there, and I'm like, we got to lead the way, we got to do it right. And there's other things where it's like, this is just doldrums, and I'm not interested. They're gonna pay me the same either way. Even if like work this out, make this an amazing thing, and it's really good, they're gonna pay me exactly the same, and they don't give a damn anyway. And they don't understand the complexity, and they don't want to listen to the complexity. So it's like, there is a certain amount. That's my get out. That's my excuse for being a piece of shit at work. Hopefully it sticks.
Yeah, and of course, for me, it's like, it's not a matter of, let me say it this way. For me, it is always a matter of, this is a thing that I have chosen to do. I could be somewhere else, but I'm not. And since I'm here, I'm going to do the best job that I can at what I'm currently doing.
But yeah, I mean,
So,
your exact example there, where it's like other developers are building into problems and they're not addressing it, and then you're going like 6 months from now, I'm going to have to fix this.
yeah. I mean, it's like, here's a product that we're delivering as a team, and I want to deliver the best product possible because I care intrinsically.
Yep.
I don't.
Yeah,
get any other
and that's
motivation to
again,
go
it's
do
like
that.
it's not that I don't. Yeah, I don't do it. I really do try. I honestly try to do that. It is a challenge for me. And also that being, I'm still, I've been doing this for since COVID. So I've been doing this for a while now. In terms of like, I'm fairly skilled. I don't even recall right back at the early days of your stream, like I was really bad. But in terms of like competency, right? Because I was watching you. I think I was watching you before I even had a job. Like I was unemployed.
You were still at the DMV, not DMV.
No,
DOL.
that's not true. No. I saw you whilst I was still trying to. I had a job when I was watching you. I really want to do software development, and so I convinced my employer to say, hey, what if I learn how to build some software for us? Wouldn't that be great? And they said, yeah, that's awesome. And that went on for like 2-3 months, and then they had a massive change of heart after some like budget reports came in, and they decided our whole department was going to get completely like sort of screwed with. So like they fired the director of the department and a bunch of other people, and so like I stuck around for like another 6 months because I was relatively useful, and then eventually I became like slightly less useful because I was really much more like, well, this software development stuff is really interesting, and they keep telling me not to do it, and so I'm gonna f them. I guess I'm gonna keep doing it. So I kept doing that until they let me go. Because obviously they were going different direction. They didn't want me to do software development anymore, and I'm a software developer now. That's what I'm doing. So then I became unemployed, and that's when I was like, well, if I'm willing to let myself be let go on the basis that I want to be a software developer, I really should take it to heart and maybe become one. It's like now or never sort of time. So I really sat down. I was like, hell, let's just do some C# stuff. That's when I got into Blazor really heavily because back then I was doing UWP. Because that's what was prevalent. But then I got into Blazor, and then I got a job doing that, and then that's the rest is history. But needless to say, both my jobs doing professionally software development, I've got 2, right? Second one. The first one was just an absolute joke, like what some stuff you're referring to, like intentionally like hiding stuff from the customer. Like not only were they hiding stuff from the customer, they were like fraudulently lying in the contract. Like the company I worked for, they were they said to me, it's like, okay, so we're going to meet with the customer. This was like on week 3 or week 2 or something. And you're going to be leading it. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And he said, just pretend like you're the team lead. I'm like, why? Because the contract says we've hired 8 people and you're the 8 people. And they're paying us for 8 people. I'm like, that's hella illegal. I said, well, they kind of already know it's happening and they're kind of okay with it because they're all employees of the state government anyway. They don't give a damn. So yeah, just if anyone asks, you're the team lead. I'm like, week 2 of being a software developer, I'm a team lead. All right.
I mean, I guess like when I started at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, I was instantly a senior developer, even though I was doing HR for 15 years before that.
Yeah. And that was when I got my second job. So I worked there for like 5 months, and I'm on job 2 for like a year and a half now. That was like, that one thing that was hilarious that struck me. Like I joined that company, and they were like, they had a bunch of WinForm applications that was migrating to Blazor, and they literally, it's like they said, well, how many screens has this got? Like how many like views? And I was expecting to come like, oh, we got like 57 views, or menus. So everything's menu is a view, a screen is a view, a display is a view, right? So I expected like dozens. 8. We've got 8 views. Oh, eight views in Blazor. Okay. So like within like a week and a half, I had all the UI done. I'm like, okay, so the UI is done. Now we just got to find out where's the data. And then that took a year and a half to actually get them to get to a point where, and part of that again was like, that was kind of me too. I got in like with the idea of like, let's just get it done. And then everyone else in the company is like, oh, this is supposed to take 2 years. Why are you getting it done in 2 weeks?
Sorry,
and
I
then
thought
and then
we
they
were
made
trying to
decision
get
not
the
use
actual
Blazor.
product completed. My bad.
And it's not, and again, it's like it's not like no one on my team is like bad or deceitful or lying. It is just the company as a whole has a problem. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean
it's just a
that's
weird.
definitely our consulting agency, or I guess not really that. It is our team still. But like we don't want to be put in a position where they're going to be like, "Oh, you guys are fast workers, so you can put out whatever request we have for your app." Like they had some other person that was important to the
Hold on, why
stakeholders. I
not?
have no idea. No, no, that's what I'm getting to. So they
Okay.
they had this other person that was important to the stakeholders. That's like, I have some ideas for how the UI should look without really knowing like this particular portion of the UI. So they sent me a PowerPoint with their recommendations, and the task was review these, send back questions, but make it happen, kind of thing. And so I'm like, okay, I'll review them. And so I took the time needed to review them, put together my responses, but at the same time, I had 4 other work items that I was doing that were pretty essential to making sure the app is bug free, like especially all of that accessibility stuff that I kept saying I am trying to get this done right, but now they want me to split my attention over here to some UI improvements that we don't even need to do yet, or that might not even be relevant. So, anyway, point is, I got it all done within a short amount of time, relatively short. So, we're now giving off the impression that any ask that they give us, regardless of what our workload is, will get taken care of in a short amount of time. When really, what I would like to give the impression of is we will do things in the time that it takes to get done. We'll do our best to get it done as quickly as possible, not just throw it on the back burner or forget about it. But there is nothing that you should be expecting as far as this change took you 5 minutes. That means this change should take you 2 minutes. No, this change could be completely different and take us 3 days. Again, relative times. So that's
Yeah,
the
have you
kind of
ever?
thing that they're wanting to avoid.
Yeah, and have you ever like do you may not know, or you may very well may know,
I don't know
but like
anything ever.
car repairs. Are you familiar with like the difference between when you take your car to a dealer, if it's warranty work or if it's non-warranty work?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, my understanding is technicians are compensated. Like you go to your local Ford dealer, it's everyone, Toyota, whoever, you name all the stuff, all the car manufacturers, Chevy, so on, and all of them have a system where technicians are compensated based upon how many billable hours they do in a week. So they get like a base pay of like $10 an hour plus how many billable hours they do. And the problem is that like warranty repair, the amount of hours it takes to repair something is set by the car manufacturer. However, like work that isn't covered by warranty is set by the service desk. So they'll be like, this takes for us 20 hours. However, the car manufacturer will only pay us 10 hours. And that's sort of what you want to avoid, right? Where like they're like, well, this should only take 10 hours. Why would you bill me for 20?
Right.
Yeah, and then that's really a difficult thing, and that's like almost like it's an understanding. I remember when I used to work doing small business IT for a very nice company and wonderful people. They would have customers that was just in tune. So like we would go down there and we would say, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and the guy would like whoever our the CEO or the rep. It's usually a small business, so it's like 20 people or so. And they'd be like, "Yeah, whatever you want." And so we would often bill them just for whatever we did in terms of, and then we'd go to another customer and they're like, "What are you doing here? Why are you doing it? How much are you going to bill us? What's that going to cost? What is this? What is that? Why are you doing this?" And invariably, that customer cost more money in terms of we would bill them more because the amount of time it took for us to explain it, break it down, put into steps like, "Oh, can you do that next week? Yes, we'll do that next week." All those additional steps actually cost them more money than if they just said, "Hey, do whatever you want. Trust
Right.
us. Do whatever you want." And the ones that trusted us got a much better deal out of us. Um, and so that we got but it was they were, and so we try to always maximize those customers because those customers we would actually like be really good value for money as a business. The other customers we we competed, we did, our competitors, in the industry locally would still get their edge in, but we wouldn't be like to the point where like this is a great business to be in. Like it's kind of depressing work, to go to a company like you need to check your backups, you need to, whatever. and they go, we don't want to do that. It's like, well, you kind of do want to do that. But yeah, no. So I sympathize. It's really a challenge. It's really a challenge to find the right customers and have the right people available to do that. It really is a challenge.
So then,
and that's, but
I
that's,
mean, good. Oh,
I was gonna say, but that's literally business 101, right? That's every single
Right.
business would love to have that. But it's just nobody ever gets it, or at least not
and
everybody
those
gets
are
it. It's really
really
difficult
good
to find.
points. It's just that they don't necessarily apply to my situation because, of course, I'm working for a consultancy agency, and that agency is the one that pays me a salary, and we have a contract or an agreement with this other entity, and so I am doing development work representing Sagetti for that other entity. And so Sagetti is the one that's billing the hours, but it's a flat number of hours. It's always
Okay.
going to be
Yeah,
80 hours.
but
a
I mean,
pay period.
it's a flat it's a flat number of hours, which is to your benefit. But ultimately, like Sagetti, your employer has to balance the books, right? So if they're, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Like I'm sure if you did it really well and so on, there'll be a bigger Christmas bonus. You know what I mean? So
I mean, you would expect that, yes.
do you? I don't get a Christmas bonus, which I think is bullshit.
I mean, I think we do. I don't know. The thing
You've
is
been working with
that
over the year.
yeah. The thing is that it's the stuff, I don't know what to call it. The bonuses and the incentives and stuff are pretty negligible. They're not.
Yeah. Well,
They're
it's better
just
than
nothing.
none. I get none. So
I mean, it pretty
but
much
I
feels
want to
like
change the
I'm
subject
getting
if I
none.
can.
Of course.
I want to change the subject. .NET 8.1 was it 8. RC1 whatever it was, just got released.
Okay.
Have you had a opportunity to check any of it out? With the it just got released what, Tuesday?
I got nothing on that.
Did nothing on that. I tried it out yesterday with Maui, and they gave me a big fat Visual Studio 2022 is not compatible with .NET 8. So I was like, oh, so I can't.
Oh yeah,
Only
you have to
console
be
apps you can do is.
using Preview. So just download Visual
Well, I
Studio
mean,
Preview, and you should be good to go.
That thought didn't actually cross my mind. That's a
Yeah.
dumb
So
thing.
any of
So I
the
was about to say,
.NET releases that are not released yet that are in preview, you have to use .NET Visual Studio Preview.
what I was about to say was I should. I mean, it's still okay. It's installing. Which is sort of funny. It's I get it because the integration, but it's like, isn't this really just a .NET? Isn't it like the launch is just like a .NET CLI command essentially?
I mean,
You know?
yeah, but
So I
like
should be
it's
able
the
to
tooling that you need in order to get the templates,
the debugging and so on.
the debugging, the editor functionality and stuff. So I mean, you could just do it in Visual Studio Code if you wanted.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing. Basically.
All of the Maui tooling that you would probably be needing for a .NET preview would need to be done in Visual Studio Preview as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's installing now in the background, so I'll let that run. But no, I am kind of excited.
I want to make fancy emotes.
Specifically for the sections. I think I mentioned this before. I am dying to use sections. Are you?
Yeah, sections are going to be so cool. That was my most anticipated feature that I mentioned on 3 weeks ago. That's going to be so cool.
Yes, that is, and that's kind of why I wanted to actually use it, because I was like, hell, I would love to do sections. I have some buttons, I have some like menu buttons that live elsewhere. That I just don't like the way it operates. So I'd love to do sections. Well, the other one was this new type. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at. What is it? I'm scrolling down on the what's new section. I'm trying to bump into it. It's actually a rather large document. Where is it? Performance focused. Damn, it was like something. It's a type of a new list. It was a new type of not list, but it's IEnumerable of something async.
Do I remember that? I don't think I remember that.
Async enumerable of type T. IAC
which is not
enumerable.
new, right?
Streaming deserialized APIs. .NET 8 includes a new IAC enumerable stream deserialization extension method.
Async
For example,
enumerable
get from
stream.
JSON.
Okay.
Yes, and I say, for example, get from JSON async enumerable. Get from JSON async enumerable. Sorry. Similar methods have existed. Blah 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 blah. New extension method that evoke streaming APIs in return. So what it sounds like is you could use this to stream incoming data.
I mean, you could. That's the thing.
You could, well,
I'm trying
that's
to
my question. Oh, sorry. Do
I'm
you want me
trying
to
to
link?
figure
I can
out
look at it from my screen.
why it would be different.
Yeah, I'll link it in chat. Oh, that's the wrong link. Ignore that link.
That's like John
Shout
trying
out
to switch to his
Turn.
face cam. He was like, "Oh wait, that was the wrong scene. I can't do Irish."
What? It won't copy, you bastard. Let me do this. There it is. All right, cool.
Like
cool,
incoming JSON into an enumerable as it appears. Yeah, I mean that's.
So I was trying to
So-
understand it basically, and so that's why this is my question. What is it? Should I ignore it? It sounds. Everyone, I watched the live stream and everyone was like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing." I'm like, I don't know what it even does. So
Is that the thing that I was just on?
streaming, there it is.
Streaming
Streaming
deserialization.
API.
Okay, so it's a new HTTP extension method. Is what this looks like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so iasync enumerable should have been around since a while. Like a long while. The HTTP client extension method
Yes.
to
Yes,
to
that's
get
new.
streaming. Yeah, like you could still do this manually if you set it up yourself. Where on your API you're essentially just saying for each yield return, and then you would be able to get pretty much streaming data. But now they've built it in essentially to the HTTP client and gave us an extension that says
So, like,
get from
can this be
JSON as
used,
async
or should
enumerable.
this be used?
Oh, yeah.
in a JSON request,
Anything in any kind of HTTP request.
like a post, like so if I posted something to my API that's a large object, I can stream it.
Then you
Is
would
that-
well, posting to is different than getting from. So this is
Oh,
get
okay.
from JSON as async enumerable. So when you're posting, the only thing the client typically gets back is either an okay, and here's where the resource was created at, or just an ID back for the new resource that you created with your post. But it's in the gets when you're getting enumerables of stuff or list of stuff back. So give me all books in my library. And as they
Interesting.
become available, print them out onto the screen. Or in this case, print them out to console.
And so this code we're looking at right here, it has this wait for each right in constant write. Is
Yep.
that constant write happening dynamically as they come in? Is that what I'm understanding,
Correct.
or is that
Yeah,
happening
so
once the book
it's
is
pretty
done?
much sitting here and it says, give me all of the books in the collection. And then once I get another book, do a console write line. Once I get another book, do a console write line for that next book. And those are coming from this.
Interesting. Yeah, that seems kind of cool. That would be really cool for a Blazor client, Blazor WebAssembly, right? If you have like a large
All of it.
thing and like they're coming in.
Blazor server too. Because I mean, you could have a service
I was gonna
method
say-
that you.
Yeah. If there is a HTTP, I don't think there's many use cases that I have where I'm actually like sending HTTP requests to get data and then just
Oh,
sending it back down to a
okay.
client.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
on servers, you could be doing an API request to some other service. kind of thing.
Right. we have this horrific thing that we have to use for all of our stuff. But maybe they're talking about changing it, but whatever. It's called TDV. It's horrific. Well, I won't discuss it. It's just horrific. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. So that were the two things that I saw, and so those two things I was trying to understand. And then obviously, like you're on that page now, it's a rather large page. Is other than we have the sections,
Table of contents.
where is
No.
I don't even see. They don't even have a thing on sections. Is that they don't have a thing?
This
on
is
the sections
probably
here.
specific to C Sharp as opposed to Blazor as well.
This is just what's new. Yeah, it just doesn't have the Blazor stuff.
Yeah.
Was there
nothing
anything
to do with
else
Blazor at all.
that you've heard of on this? I went all the way up to the top. Yeah, right here on the core.net. Is there anything else you see here that is worth pointing out, or that you've heard of, or you're excited for, or you thinking about, or you just it's just not too much other than the Blazor stuff?
I want to know what enhancements they did for source generators. You can have
Enhancements for source generators.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, anything that they can do to make writing source generators easier would be nice. They're actually
Well, I'm
making it
stupid.
so you can chain source generators. What?
What's a source generator?
A sauce generator is this thing that allows you to make different kinds of sauces for burgers and fries and chicken and
Honey
so
barbecue?
an example of it would be this Thindle Fun source generator where I have what was this one for? I put an attribute called Thindle icon attribute. Am I actually using that anywhere?
Is this in Finman? Hold on. Stand by.
Yeah.
Stand by. Opening my Finman project.
Wait, I'm not actually using it yet though. But this was when I was going to show Thindle how source generators work as well. But essentially, as you write code, you know that the Roslyn compiler is always analyzing and building so that you can get the red squigglies and green squigglies and stuff like that. So you're essentially compiling every single time that runs. When you compile, it goes through, you can interrupt that compile step, and just before it starts compiling, you can read the string, essentially, the structure that it's trying to compile, and generate new code that will be part of your actual project. Oh, here's a good example of a sauce generator. Where is my localizations? Okay, so for example, I have a regex file, and that regex file looks like an XML table, essentially. If you opened it in an editor, you would see XML. When I save something to this file, I want to generate C# code such that I could use my shared localizer service dot, and then whatever I have typed in the name field as my variable. So the source generator is the thing that steps in and creates this file for us simply by modifying the regex.
So the source generator is looking at your regex file, it's for reaching through it, and it's dynamically creating C# code.
Well, I don't know how this one does it, but yeah, essentially it hears here is a regex file, so analyze it, check to see if it has some flag that says access modifier public or internal, and if it does, then write out this code, and it usually does it as a string. So when you're telling it what code to write, you're actually putting it inside of a big string. Gosh.
And then this is, you said, the Roslyn compiler, and then this just becomes like available namespace when you're building out.
Right, because it's an actual file in your project. So in most cases, it gets put into dependencies, analyzers, source generation. Actually, it'll be the name of your assembly for your source generator. You expand that, and then you'll see the C# file that gets generated, or whatever type of file you want.
Yeah, because Sindel says he made a source generator in his .NET Bacon project that injects a Lua script in a variable into C# class. Mark with that attribute. So when you say mark
So
without attribute, that's the data annotation, like you have generator at the top. That's an attribute.
yeah, yep.
So you would mark.
So an example of using this would be, let's say you have code that you normally write on every single class of this type, and it's not like an interface or an abstract class that you're trying to do. It's just that for every single time that you, and you can do it with anything. You can do it with a class extension, for example, controllers in an API, that whatever controller has a source code generator that sets up the routing for you.
So can I give you? I'm thinking of a use case in my head, and tell me if this sounds about right. So basically, right now we're trying to work out which users are active on our Angular app, right? So I said, well, what I should do is I should just have on every single, every time API call comes in, we'll just get the username, send it to some sort of place to hold it, and that'll be our active users. So I could, which I'll do. So what I could do is I could have like this annotation thing, and do a source generator, and then do it inside an annotation? No?
So source generator, you're actually generating source code. You're actually telling it, I want to write source code that will later be compiled with the rest of my code. And I would give you a more concrete example because I use a source generator. Let me say it this way then. I have a whole bunch of different types of log records, and a log record is something that can write out to the event log. And there are different types of that. There are different classes. And so I have a source generator that looks for an attribute called event log record, which then will take the code that I have in there and then create what it should output to the event log as. So my .to event log message, it will write that code for me. What I could do instead is make an extension for anything that inherits from event log base or event log record base, and then use reflection to find out what are all of my properties that I want to be output to my event log and in what format. But instead of using reflection, which is notoriously slow, I use an event source generator that will create the C# code that will then be compiled and baked in. And it'll run like I wrote the class myself. Did that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. So I'm gonna maybe, and I don't really have. I'm trying to think of the way I learn is. I'm trying to think of a use case. I can't really think of a good use case. So we're gonna revisit this one 6 months from now. I'm gonna what the hell's a source generator? And by then I'll have a use case so I can actually apply it and think about it.
We could fully implement this icon source generator because it's essentially, I can't fully remember what it is, but it's essentially let's set up all of our enums based on what icons I have available in the app. I'm pretty sure that's what it was supposed to be for. Oh, is that it? Yeah, so right now my icons are .razor files that just have SVG markup in them. And I want to source generate my icon name enum based off of what files I've created as an icon, instead of manually trying to update this myself. And then I could also, if I wanted to, I could also, if I wanted to, instead of using these extension methods, which again is using reflection, in order to get the icon info attribute and then the icon type from that, I could just have this be a big switch statement that also gets source code generated that is in sync with my icon.razor file. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that. I'm pretty sure that's what I wanted it to do.
Okay, but without getting too distracted, and we certainly should do that. Was there anything else on that list of things that you were curious about, have any thoughts about, or maybe we'll save it for next week and we'll review. I'm curious if there's anything else in the .NET 8 what's new that was interesting to you.
Yeah, I can't remember stuff ever. Period.
Me neither.
Like I watched that video where they ran through all of the cool ones that were Blazor specific, and I picked out you said the section one, but then I can't remember the majority of the rest of the stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be so cool. implementing HTTP3, having that available for us to use, which means potentially being able to do multi-threading in a Blazor WASM app.
I thought that got pushed back. Did it get pushed
I
back?
have no
My
idea.
understanding is that my understanding that's not coming. .NET 8. They said they were going to do it with .NET 8, but it's not hasn't appeared.
I don't have a feck command to count the number of times feck was used. I have a end then command, and I haven't been using it then very often.
Oh, I like this.
Gosh.
I'm just stumbling around the .NET page, and there's a really cool section about architecture that I've never seen before. I'm gonna link it in chat here if we just pique my curiosity.
And
.NET
you could also
architecture,
put
and
it
each
in
of these
resources too in the Discord.
I shall do that. I shall do that now. And I was just looking there, and I went to the UWP Maui one right there, and they have a lovely PDF regarding how to lay out, and it covers all sorts of topics here. They have it's what is it? Let me read it out here. Enterprise application patterns using .NET Maui, and in here it's going through all the different VVM, dependency injection, navigation, validation, very authentication authorization, which I'm learning. So that's good. So I'm doing that now. I trying to do .NET 8, .NET 7, .NET 8, .NET 7 Maui authentication. So I was trying to set up, and I was struggling with it. But I'm not gonna. That's a side project.
Yeah. But that is the end of my time, though. I'm gonna have to get back to work so that I can finish this UI business, get some PRs done, and finish out my weekend, and then do more
Good
work
deal.
tonight.
Good deal. Thank you so. By the way, as always, I always get excited for Friday to come on here and chat with someone who's a lot more knowledgeable than me and chat and everyone else here. So before I'll do my goodbyes now. Are you about to say? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Can I make a recommendation? I'll make a recommendation in the Twitch chat or for someone to raid, and you can decide later on your stream. Someone who's new, but I'll do that separately. All right. Thank you, everybody, and I shall see you next week. My son.
All right. Sounds good.
Right.
Awesome. Community Day in the bag. So, as you all know, Fridays on this stream are Community Day. That's why we had our guest visitors, Peter and Deflux, today. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream and the conversations that we had. Miss Pixie, is she actually on now? Because she was on earlier and then was not on. And then... oh gosh, where's my browser? Where is my browser? She is on. Okay. We can definitely rate her. I don't exactly know what she's working on. I usually have multi-stream open by now, but nobody was streaming this morning that I followed. And then she came on for a little bit and then disappeared. And Code Rad, his stream for some reason crashes in multi-stream. So I'm kind of not happy about that. So I was just lurking on his channel during the day. During the morning, I guess, is what I meant to say. Okay, so I got that set up. So if you feel like joining us, we're going to hop on over to Miss Pixie, who has raided us before, may I add. I have no raid message, but you're a mod, Dukasoft. If you want, you can always add a bang raid message. But she's doing WPF, says Deflux. Awesome. But I will be back on Monday. We'll continue our regularly scheduled programming. Haha, do you get it? Because we're software developers and we do programming. Think fast, think fast. You have some time. I'm still trying to figure out how to wrap up. So the other things that I normally say is, if you missed the majority of the stream or any of the stream or just want to watch it back, I will be posting a copy. This line is not from a zoo. This line is from the wilds. I will be posting a copy of the VOD to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. And I need to figure out what this is. Pasta. Okay, it's hard for me to brain right now. I'm starting to shift back into work mode, and my brain is already solving an issue that all that I have to do is, we have a QR code that I'm trying to get to shrink and grow so that I don't have scroll bars as much. They want to reduce the amount of scroll bars in the app, and I just realized that one of the issues that we run into is if a QR code gets too small, like on a 13-inch laptop screen, for example, then you can't really scan it because it's unreadable. So I'm going to add a pop-out for the QR code that if you select it, if you click on it, it'll pop up to full screen, and then you could scan the code that way. That way you never have the issue with not being able to scan the QR code. Duh. So I'm going to do that. Starting the raid. I'm excited to try to get that to work. And I have to get that done in like 15 minutes, by the way, that functionality, because I need to submit this PR before 1 o'clock. It's going to work. It's going to happen. All right. But until the next time, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend. Feel free to join us on Discord. We have some really amazing people. For example, the two that joined us on the voice call today, Peter and Deflux. And then we also had Thindle come in, and we have Dukasoft, who is the best non-bot bot ever. Sir Black Soul, thank you for being here. Sorry I didn't say hi when you came in. I didn't want to interrupt the peoples that were speaking. Irish John Games was here. Feel free to check him out later today. Join his Game Jam, the Journ Jam. We've shown it on stream a few times. Head over to his Discord. Hang out with him there. Check out Rights of Piracy on Steam. Absolutely. Favorite it. I mean, wishlist it. Whatever it's called that you do on Steam. But thank you to everyone that was here. I really appreciate you being here. We're heading out now. Okay, ciao.